Hello, hi. Excited to have Wayne Kimmel today, a SportTech venture capitalist, entrepreneur, podcast host, author of the book, and just an amazing person who responds, like he said, and who is out there. So, Wayne, thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. It's awesome being on your show. Thank you so much for reaching out, and I look forward to our conversation.
All right, Wayne. So for people who don't know you yet, how do you usually introduce yourself at the dinner table if you need introduction?
I tell people we're investors in the sports industry. We want to back amazing entrepreneurs who have incredibly innovative ideas and are looking to really take the sports industry and bring and infuse new technology and just make it better. And that's what we're all about at 76 Capital.
76 Capital. The first question I wanted to ask, why 76 Capital?
It really comes down to that, we're based in Philadelphia. The country was founded in 1776. We've got the Sixers here. You got this big highway, 1770, 76. But it really came from this idea that these crazy entrepreneurs created a country in 1776 here in the U.S. And that's where we really got it from.
Inspiring. So it is connected to the history of the country, to the roots.
It really is. But it really goes back to the roots of who the people were, those entrepreneurs that came up with this idea, these, they created the Constitution, like they kind of created something, right? And that's what entrepreneurs do. And that's what we're all about, getting behind those smart and nice entrepreneurs who want to change the world and do things that no one's ever done before. And we focus on doing that within the world of sports.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned within the world of sports. So you founded, 76 Capital a while ago, actually before I was born. So, and initially you started with a tech investment, and the question is that, what pulled you first in venture capital?
Yeah, so we started 76 Capital, which was originally called Eastern Technology Fund, back in 1999. And it was all about this idea of being able to see what was happening in the world, where there was this opportunity to bring technology, innovation to all of these major industries, whether that was the food ordering business. So we were investors in a company that was one of the first online food ordering companies called Seamless Web, which is now part of Grubhub. Right? It was this idea of being able to order food online when people were saying, why do you need to order food online? You could just call in your order or fax it in, but that was like, what was the next thing that was coming down the pike? And so we really wanted to bring tech across all these different industries. But about 10 years ago, we recognized that there was this one industry that hadn't embraced technology, data, and analytics, and that's sports. And we were like, wow, we could bring this incredible tech to the world of sports, an industry that we're incredibly passionate about, where we have a lot of relationships, we know lots of people, we understand the industry. We all, have, many of us wanted to play at the highest of levels. Some of us here didn't. Some of us, part of our world did. But it was this incredible thing where we're like, wow, can we bring tech to this world and really increase the value, enhance the world of sports? And that's what we've done.
Was there something like a moment where you realized, like you said, wow, something sparked you and you said, okay, we need to go to sports?
I mean, it was really, my partners, Chad Stender and John Powell, and we were just kind of sitting around like, wow, this is amazing. Like, is there an industry that hadn't been disrupted by technology? And we just kept coming back to sports. And then we started making investments, and then things started to happen. Right? Not specifically because of our investments, but the world started to change. You started to see things happen, like sports betting came in and it became legal in the United States outside of the state of Nevada. Oh my God, that was a huge thing. Then all of a sudden, the next thing that comes down the pike is we hit COVID. And COVID is like everyone's locked in their house, but what does everyone want? What does everyone need? Sports. You need live sports. So the technology behind that enabled us to be able to continue to have live sports being delivered directly to us. And then, and then you had the situation with college sports where all of a sudden the college sports industry world just completely gets changed and upended, where you can now pay student athletes like they hadn't been paid in the past. And that's completely upended all of the economics and everything across the whole sports industry. And then on top of that, you then had private equity being able to invest in the sports industry. So you had these four really big things happen. And in the midst of all of that, all those things provided this incredible opportunity for entrepreneurs to create amazing businesses using technology to increase the value, make sports even better, make the way you watch sports better, the way that you play the sport better, the way that you actually engage with the sport as a fan has all gotten better because of the amazing tech that these entrepreneurs have created and that we've invested in a lot of those companies.
Look, even you speaking about this, I could, share the energy through my computer. I can feel it, how excited you are. And I know you love all of your kids, but what are two most interesting projects you have invested in? And maybe you already exited if you don't want to talk about your current ones.
We love talking about our companies. We love talking about the founders of our companies and all the entrepreneurs. I mean, look, when we invest in a company, we jump on their side of the table. We're partners. We're locked in, arm in arm. Our contacts are their contacts. We try to help our companies in any way possible, and that's what's so exciting. I mean, one of our favorite stories, I guess, because it had so much success around it, is our investment in VSiN, the sports betting media company, where we had this opportunity to invest in, we last saw each other at ESPN. So, right, Brent Musburger, who had left ESPN, who was one of the legendary broadcasters starting at CBS. He started the NFL Today. He actually talked about sports betting way back in the 70s when, it was like, it wasn't legal everywhere, but he figured out how to do it, right? But we got behind them and created a company that was so much fun to build together. It was a sports betting media company, the CNBC of sports betting, a place where you would go and watch and learn and hear the story behind the numbers. Why the numbers? Why is a certain team favored over another team? Why does this player going to score this many points or potentially not score this many points? And then all those kinds of things, like what all the the analysis behind all that. And we built this company, and we put this this media company on the radio, on TV, on the internet, on social media, and ended up selling the company to DraftKings and being partners with Brent Musburger, Ryan Musburger, Bill Adie, and helping them and working with them, as I said earlier, arm in arm, sitting next to each other, in the bowels of casinos, downstairs, and looking and how do we do this, and building studios. I mean, it was really incredible, and being able to do something that others hadn't really done before. The idea of, and now having so many awesome entrepreneurs that we've now invested in that are doing so many incredible things, that are working with the NBA, that are working with the National Football League and Major League Baseball and all the major sports leagues, whether it's on the sports betting side of things, whether it's on bringing new technology on the field so that you can help not only just professional players, but also all the way down to the youth side of things. And that's what's so exciting about the sports industry now, is that there's this incredible professionalization that's going on from at the highest of levels to the collegiate level and even at the youth level. And that's what we're excited about. And when you professionalize something, certainly in today's world, that means you're infusing and starting to use the latest technology, the latest data, the latest analytics to really make your business better. And that's what tech can really do for you today. And when I say tech, of course, we're also referring to, AI. And wow, I mean, okay. AI has really accelerated the growth of so many of our companies and so many businesses across the sports industry. It's just, and across every industry today. But it's been really fascinating to see how many of our companies are using it.
If we would take one opportunity, right, one way of development of the market, the technology, or something that makes you most excited, what that would be?
I mean, I think, going back to what I just said, I mean, AI is an incredible, it's
Okay.
incredible because of just how fast the computing power is, right? How fast it can just digest information and then help put out, basically give you the answer in the simplest of forms. That's what's really exciting to see, because sports is so data driven and you can have so much information, whether it's the video, whether it's the stats, whether it's whatever it is, and you have so much of this coming in, and then to be able to then make sense of that, to be able to provide the answer. So whether that's, our basketball technology company, which is called Shot Tracker, which is fascinating business where we're able to track every single movement that happens on the court, how many shots people make. You can do it in practice where balls are bouncing all over the place, but keep track of every single shot and be able to then provide that information directly back to a coach, to a general manager. Right now you have general managers not only in professional sports, but general managers in the collegiate ranks. So there's so much more opportunity to be able to harness all of this data. But it used to be really hard because you needed to have a data scientist, a data analyst. You needed to be able to take this information, and it would take hours and hours of keying it in and pulling this data and that data. Now it's like, having AI is like everyone has a supercomputer in their pocket. I mean,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable to see, and then be able to and then again, be able to give that answer. That's what's the solution, and have that happen so quickly. There's a lot of assistant basketball coaches out there today that are sleeping more because they don't have to stay up all night. The AI enables them to do their work very fast now.
Yeah, AI is definitely really interested, and we could, dedicate separate talk about the
Sure.
opportunities for AI. But looking back at most successful founders you've backed, what do they have in common you think that probably you didn't fully pay attention when you started a career? Like, is a specific trait or behavior that makes you think, okay, that's gonna be a person, or do you invest in a business model just not looking into the founder that much?
Well, here at 76, because we invest so early in many of these companies, it's all about the entrepreneurs. And the trait that I personally really look for, and I think it trickles down to lots of other important traits, is the passion. Do they have passion? Are they really passionate about that opportunity? Because it is not easy building a company. You will be told multiple times that your idea is crazy, it's not going to work, go get a job. Your mom may tell you, to quit. I mean, like it's that rough. It is hard. It is really, really hard to build a company. So you have to have that overall passion, and that then comes into your desire, your drive, the resiliency, right? The persistence. Like, you have to be like I use the example, and we talk about this a lot here with our team here at 76. It's like a running back. I mean, you're running into a line of like 300-pound guys that want to kill you, right? Like, they want to knock, the what out of you. Like, that's what they want to do. And then as a running back, you want to run through them. Sometimes you don't make it through and you get smacked and you get smashed and you're laying there. But you got to get back up, get back in the huddle, line up again, and then do it again.
Okay.
And that's what it's like being an entrepreneur. It may not be as physical as that, but mentally challenging, where you're so excited, you prepare a deck, you prepare a presentation, and you walk into a room where you're about to sell this really big deal or raise this capital or do whatever it is, and the people on the other side, they don't even give you the time of day. They don't even let you tell you anything, and they just say no and get out of here. And that's rough. That's really rough. But then you have to be able to walk out of there and go to the next one and go on and on and on. And that's why, this can't just be a thing where it's like, oh, I'm gonna quit. No, you have to be incredibly passionate about it. You got to be in a situation where I really believe that I'm building the future. I'm gonna make the impossible possible, And that's why passion is such an important part of being a founder.
If we are talking about founders, you're a founder of a venture capital firm as well. I am curious, can you take us into hard moments, one of the dark moments in your journey, and what actually kept you going?
Well, very similarly to what I just described happens to us as investors, right? I mean, I tell our entrepreneurs, we're just entrepreneurs that raise capital to invest in other entrepreneurs. That's what we are. Because a lot of entrepreneurs just think venture capitalists just wake up one day and they have money and they just, they just give it out, right? That's not the game. I mean, so it's really all about, for us as well, right? Having that same level of passion. We have to have those same kinds of traits to build our business so that we can be in the business of being in a position to then go and support the entrepreneurs. So yeah, there's a lot of times where, especially like over the last several years, I mean, we were out there telling the world that sports was an asset class, that it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And we had so many people saying to us, what are you talking about? Sports is a fun thing. It's what we do on the weekends, it's what we do after work. It's a thing you do as a kid. You just play sports, and if you're lucky enough to be a pro, those billionaire guys they fund all those companies and those teams, and that's just it's not a business. But sports is a business, right? We've been talking about like how the asset class of sports is truly a real, this is a major financial business, and it has proven out that way right now, right? Where now all of a sudden you see the largest investment banks in the world dedicating teams of people in sports at Goldman Sachs, at JP Morgan. The list goes on, right, of all the banks, of how they're now focused on this, to see how much private equity dollars are now coming in to be able to take ownership in a team or a league. You see the individuals who are behind many of these private equity firms now are buying multiple teams and seeing like, wow, this is a real business. How can we, and then what's so exciting is because of this overall professionalization of the asset class of sports, the professionals that are owning and running these teams and these leagues and that are the commissioners recognize that they need to infuse the latest technology, the latest data solutions, the latest analytics solutions into their business. And that's where we at 76 Capital are investing in those companies, helping introduce those companies to the teams, the leagues, the media companies. We're so excited that, and proud of one of our companies that is powering, a large portion of the ESPN app that's out there now, right? That enables you to have customization and personalization of your experience on the ESPN app. It's incredible to sort of see how important that was to be part of that. And that's where we really believe that there's so much more to come and there's so much more growth. And it's something, because this is sports. Everyone loves sports. Everyone watches sports. Everyone plays sports. Everyone wants their kid to be the next LeBron, Serena, or Caitlin Clark. That's what this world's all about. And as the world continues to have more time on its hands because of things like AI, and when work weeks shrink, I mean, in Netherlands, it's already a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
So what do you do those other 3 days? What are you going to do when the work week's 3 days and you have 4 days off? We believe you're going to play sports, watch sports, try to get your kid to be the next great athlete.
Yeah, especially I think when you see yourself that, let's say you open the ESPN app and you see that we did this, and you see the results of your work actually in the real world, that must feel like amazing.
It's incredible. I mean, like, it's incredible. Like when you watch an NFL game or a college football game and you see the pylon cams on the sidelines, the orange pylons that are there, and they have cameras in them, and then they go to that and they're like, let's see what this, let's go to a different angle, and then you see the pylon cam angle, and we go, wow, like we were the investors in that company to help build that so that could actually work, that somehow a little tiny camera in a orange pylon on an NFL field that gets knocked over by 300-pound offensive and defensive linemen can somehow still be able to send the signal up to the cloud, down to a TV truck, out to, our devices. I mean, like, how does that all happen? And as that's all happening while the pylon's tumbling down the field because someone just knocked it over, right? That's unbelievable technology behind that. And to be able to invest in the entrepreneurs that figured that out and be able to help them build that business and get on those fields and start and work with the ESPNs of the world, work with Fox, work with CBS, work with NBC, right? That's amazing. It's really amazing.
How's that company called again?
That company is called C360, and they were sold to a company called Cosm. And once Cosm bought that, Cosm is the company that has the big, almost like I call them live sports venues, massive live sports venues. And after they acquired our company, they raised $250 million to roll out their whole business plan using our technology. So it's pretty incredible.
Okay, so what makes a founder or executive truly memorable for you after they leave the meeting?
Look, I think it's a really good question. Like what makes them memorable? It's really what they do in that meeting, right? I mean, it's again, you can tell, right? I think you can really see anybody, right? When someone's excited about something and this is going to be their life's work. This is the way they're going to change the world. And when you see someone who has that kind of passion and has that, that incredible desire, that's what you remember. Like you can feel it. Like it's almost like you can feel that in the air. You can also feel when they don't have it. When they come in and they're leaning back and they're just talking about things matter-of-factly and, it's just a business. Not saying that there aren't entrepreneurs and people that have been successful in doing it that are a little less openly passionate, I guess, right, about their business. But the ones that are, that's what you just never forget. You're like, you know what, that guy, that woman, like they're going to be successful. Like you just feel it, right? You feel that in their entrepreneurs. I mean, I'm literally looking above my head right now, and there's Dylan from Lucra and Skylar from Boomerang and CJ from Diamond Kinetics. I mean, you go in a room with any of those three, you'll walk out of there. You'll feel like you'd run through a wall. I mean, they'll get you so fired up about their business and the opportunity to build innovative products in the sports industry. And that's why some of the biggest retailers in the world, like the Dave & Buster's of the world and the 5-Iron Golfs and the Putt Shacks of the world, use Lucra's technology to enable, for them to be able to have an incredible experience. It's why the biggest stadiums and arenas around the country are using Boomerang for Lost and Found, whether that's Madison Square Garden or Fenway Park. If you lose something, that their technology will actually get that thing right back for you. And there's a reason why Major League Baseball has been such an incredible partner of Diamond Kinetics, because of CJ and his team and their passion and their desire to really bring the latest and greatest technologies to youth baseball, to youth softball, and do exactly what happens at the professional level with the Aaron Judges and the Bryce Harpers and all the tech that they get on the field as a professional baseball player. Imagine then having that on a little league field somewhere in who knows where, but you have the same tech as the major league players have, and you're getting that same incredible experience. They're bringing all of that to everybody, and that's really, really awesome.
Okay, so really important trait, like we said, like passion, this hunger, this drive. Have you ever had a situation where the person is really passionate, you see the drive, but you just don't see the business model work?
Definitely. I mean, and that's where, but at the same time, what I always say is that that's just, one venture capital company's opinion, right? Like, just because we don't invest in a company doesn't mean it's not going to be successful. Nobody's perfect, right? So, for us, it has to be a situation where we like the entrepreneur, but then at the same time, we believe that we can actually be helpful, that we can add value to the company. and help that entrepreneur and help that team and help that idea become something. It could be that we may not fully understand or really believe that we can help that company. And if we don't believe that we can do more than just be an investor, we don't invest. So that's
Okay.
where that's where sometimes we'll turn down an opportunity to invest because we just don't think we can be helpful past just our capital, and that's not enough for us.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of young founders missing is that they just looking for money and not looking for partnership.
I think you're right. I mean, and that's one of the things that it's that's very important to us. It's very important, and it may not be the case for other investors. Like, there are other investors that have invested with us in a number of our companies, and their goal is just to invest in companies and get reports every 3, 6, 12 months. And that's just not who we are.
Okay, and have you had a situation where, let's say, you've declined the opportunity, you have not invested, but you found that founder and you're trying to follow the journey and maybe invested in the next company he started if the previous one is failed?
Yeah, I mean, there's off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of if there's ever a situation specifically like that, and there probably are, but I can't think of something like directly in that case. But there's certainly been situations where we've said no, or we've said not yet to an entrepreneur, and then had invested in whether that company or something else in the future. Look, you just never know. I mean, there's timing is everything. You say that in just in life in general. It may be that we're busy with something, or their capital needs didn't line up with the capital that we had at the time, or whatever. Like, you just never know. You just never know. I mean, we're all busy, and that's where you just have to stay at it, right? Stay at it, and that's what it's all about.
Okay, yeah, so going back to your story, your personal story. Like I've mentioned before, I read your book, and in the book you are mentioning that really foundational thing is to be genuinely useful to people around you, help everyone, and just to be a nice person. That's a foundation what grew you up, like I saw from the book. So how, like for young people like myself, younger, how would you be useful for someone like yourself, or for some people who are actually already achieved something?
I think this is a really interesting thing, right? I mean, as I said in my book, and I talk about it all the time, and it doesn't matter young, old, rich, poor, whatever. You can always help somebody else. As my dad would say, there's always someone else out there in the world that's worse off than you. This woe is me, I'm in such a bad shape. No, there's someone else actually that's in worse shape. And you know what? You can go help them and make their life better. And that'll make the world better, right? And that's what it's all about. I mean, that's the key to all of this. I mean, it's about thinking about, like, there may be little things that you can do that could enhance a multi-billionaire that can have anything and buy anything, and whatever they want they can have. But you know what? They may have a child or someone within their organization or their family that you can actually help them. Maybe that you can do something for someone. You can always figure out a way to do something for someone, and that could be potentially, as I said, helping a family member. It could be even just simply, one of the things I talk about in my book is this idea of, like, just sending a note, a congratulatory note to the CEO of a major Fortune 500 company and saying, congratulations on your latest deal. Congratulations on becoming the man of the year, in the community, or something like that. Going to one of these charity events and shaking their hand and saying, hey, that's amazing what you do for our community. Thank you. My name is. Here's my business card. It would be amazing to someday do some business together, right? Like those types of things go a long way. That's something that, regardless of how great the technology is, how great everything, LinkedIn and all the digital ways of connecting with people, actually meeting someone in the flesh and saying nice things. And that's changing. That's a way to really change the game.
Yeah, being present.
Absolutely. Being present is incredibly important. And you can't be everywhere. But we can but the thing is that as I always say, you got to get off the couch. Like it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen if you're sitting on the couch. You can click as many buttons and link in with as many people as possible and do all that kind of stuff. But you got to get up. You got to get out there. It's a reason why here at 76 Capital, we do something called our 76 Capital Owners Box events. We partner with an amazing company called Chickies and Pete's, and they're this awesome sports bar and restaurant here in Philadelphia and around the country. And they have locations all around the country, and their incredible crab fries and their chicken wings and their seafood and all the amazing stuff that they have. They have that in different, not only in their own sports bars, but inside of stadiums and arenas. And we partner with them and we have networking events. So where we bring together the sports community, we bring the entrepreneurs, we bring the owners of teams, we bring the executives from leagues, and we bring them all together in a room to network and get to know each other and do that in a physical way. That's why we do that, right? And then also why, I have, similar to you, my own show called our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show, where I have the opportunity to sit down and have conversations, sometimes using the technology, Riverside or whatever it is, right? And have these kinds of conversations, or doing it in person. And that's a way to connect and build relationships. And then it's also why we have our 76 Capital This Week in Sports Business newsletter that goes out every single Sunday at 11 a.m. And anyone can subscribe online. You just go to 76 Capital and subscribe to our newsletter. And that newsletter is not only about what we do at 76, it's in there, what's going on with us as a business, our portfolio companies, but also all the business news of that week. So you can catch up on that. But then a very important part of that also is our events section, where you can find and learn about different events, not only just our events all across the sports industry, where you can go and get to know and sit down with the executives from teams and leagues and colleges and speak to them about the opportunities across the world of sports.
Wayne, thank you so much. I'll be definitely checking out your website, more closely. I will be sharing this with my network and I will post it everywhere. There is one thing that you wanted to bring up and I haven't asked you?
I think one of the big things is as an entrepreneur, as a founder, is just going out there and making it happen, right? You just gotta go. You can write a lot of business plans, you can think about things, you can test and try it, but you just gotta go out there and try to make things happen, because when you get out there, when you're out there in the wild and things happen, amazing things can happen. You'll learn a lot, but then you also may meet somebody, or you may find a customer, or you may realize that the customers that you think you're going after are actually the wrong customers, but the right customer is saying, no, I want this. So my advice to everybody is always to go out there and try to go make it happen every day.
Yeah, like you've mentioned when you send me the book, make it happen. That's your phrase, and I love it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Wayne, and it was pleasure to have you.
Really enjoyed it and wish you the best of luck with everything you're doing.
Thank you.